A little while ago, I was having a chat with my friend. He's one of those guys who isn't a nihilist, but ascribes to the ideas that a nihilist would have. Such ideas like humanity and life being meaningless and random, planetarily nothing matters, even down to the entire universe being nothing but a giant coincidence or mistake. And for quite some time, I was on board with this as well. But as I thought about it, there were a lot of things that started to eat away at me, and though my ideas may not be refined, I wanted to share them anyway. See, there are a lot of questions that you start to think about that currently have no answers, like, what is consciousness? Does it live on after our bodies pass away? What other dimensions and universes are out there, and what's in them? Is there any way to travel to these places? Some monks spend their entire lives trying astral projection and meditation trying to reach these places, and some claim they've gotten there. Drugs like DMT have sent people into what they claim was another universe with other beings that they could communicate with. And when you think of the universe, our universe as being so small, you start to wonder about all the smaller questions that we've answered. Our universe is amazing and the human mind is incredible. We've developed mathematical equations for so many parts of how our universe works, and not only do they fit, but they're flawlessly predictable. It can make you ask yourself, did we come up with these equations to understand our universe, or is our universe comprised of math? Our compounds are nothing more than a mixture of two or more elements. Everything around us is made up of atoms, these tiny building blocks that construct everything we touch and see, and it's all so simple. Why is it that this random occurrence can be broken down into such a simple thing? And why is it that we're able to manipulate these things? Sure, we're complex and so is our universe, but the simplifications of it all bothers me sometimes. And as crazy as it makes me sound, I like to think about it. There are a lot of questions like these that I like to think about, and it's these questions themselves that are most important. See, these types of questions make us search for answers. They keep us moving, keep us from being lazy, and even if the question was stupid, for that brief period it gave us a little bit of purpose. It taught us something along the way. I wonder how much we'll learn just in my lifetime alone. How many questions we have that'll be answered, and how many questions I'll never be able to ask because they'll be beyond my lifetime. Thinking about that last one keeps me up at night. I hate the idea of missing out. Now, don't get me wrong here. I'm not trying to say that we're nothing more than some simulation and these atoms, compounds, elements, and so on are nothing more than some simple construction of what we see around us. It's a fun philosophical question, but after a while it just starts to freak you out as you travel too far down the rabbit hole, and I'm not looking to go crazy until I'm at least 27. But I do like to flirt with these ideas. Every so often I look at the universe as a being that likes to joke around. I've actually said on multiple occasions that the universe tells jokes sometimes. Here's a little example, and though I don't completely take it to heart, it's little things like this that make this idea so fun. So I'm sitting there with a friend of mine. He and I are building his computer, and a couple of other friends are in the kitchen having their own conversation. We could kind of hear them, but they were so involved that they weren't really paying much attention to us. Now, I don't quite remember what I said, but I do know it was obscure enough, which is why the situation was so memorable. I said something like, "And that's why you carve your grapes." Not even a second goes by and I hear my friend in the kitchen say, "And that's why you carve your grapes." My friend and I started laughing, and my friends in the other room were so invested in their conversation, they never even turned our way. I looked at my friend and said, "The universe tells jokes sometimes." And it's little stuff like that I like so much. Nobody could have set that up, it just happened. And every time it did happen, I look at it as a coincidence. As crazy as it may be, it's so much more fun to think of it as some being flicking me in the back of the head saying, "Hey, I'm here, just letting you know I exist. You'll never be able to prove it, but I'm still going to mess with you every now and then and make you think crazy thoughts." I think back to those nihilistic ideas that we're worthless. Our existence is meaningless and nothing around us matters, and I think the biggest flaw with that assertion is it gives us humans a little too much credit. Don't get me wrong, the ideas aren't flawed, they're just malformed. See, I can easily agree that human existence could be nothing more than a quick snap of the finger, and just as fast as we came, we could go extinct, and even this planet go with us. However, I do have to wonder why physics work under the assumption that there are at least 10 dimensions, and that just above our third dimension is a fourth. As far as we know, these dimensions scale up as the number grows, meaning the higher they go, the larger they get with a greater potential of superior life. And if this is the case, how could we possibly know how much we're worth? There's no way we could look at ourselves that objectively when we only have some of the picture, which is why I say humans give ourselves a bit too much credit sometimes. Now, sure, a lot of these thoughts are ridiculous and would take a very long time to prove if they ever even could be, but they're the thoughts that swim around in my head, and I'm not afraid of them. I love entertaining them, and I like where they take me. I guess when it all comes down to it, you could say it's nothing more than a simple imagination, but it's questions like these that give us that little bit of purpose. I realized a little bit ago that I refine my ideas as I bounce them off others, and I used to be afraid of these thoughts, afraid people would look at me like I was nuts, or judge me harshly. But as I started chatting them over with friends, I realized they only had more to offer these ideas. Don't be afraid to share thoughts like these. Worst case scenario, your friends think you're a nutbag and you move on with your day. Best case, they play around with the ideas as well. Then there's that other side of the spectrum where you believe in it a bit too hard and develop a cult. In that case, just make sure you have a large enough van, some LSD, and some cocaine. You may not be able to hang around modern society, but at least you'll have an opportunity to snort cocaine out of someone's astral projection.